Well, let's get a bit of the backstory of how, where, when, and the whys of Pond.
Okay.
Chris and Charlie, you both were high school buddies in Juneau, Alaska.
Yes.
In 1989, you made the jump to Portland. Why the relocation, and why Portland? What was the draw?
Well, Charlie?
Well, Portland doesn't have a road to it. You can't you can't be a tour
Juneau
musician.
doesn't.
I mean, Juneau doesn't have a road to it. You have to come in by boat or plane, so it's not a good
Kind of like
place.
Vancouver, BC, or Victoria, or something.
It's like Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria.
Yeah. So it's not a good place to try to do that, and there's not really a market for indie rock at that time, which we wanted to play.
I thought I read something about you guys were so young that you wanted to play in bars, but you were too young.
That was me.
That was you.
I had just
Chris.
graduated from high school, and I had been playing in bars
They
for
didn't
a number
let
of years.
even in Alaska, they had.
Well, it's funny because I was through half of my high school I was playing in bars, and I'd play from like 9 to 2 in the morning with a band. And when they found out I was under 21, it was like, oh, you need a note from your mom, and oh, she has to be here, and then like she would show up and sit, and it was not very conducive.
So Pond didn't start up till 91 in Portland. What were you guys doing between 89 and 91? Just getting the lay
We
of the
played in
land?
a couple bands.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. We bought a van in Juneau, put it on the ferry, so you have to take a boat down, right? And we were so kind of green that we were like, oh, we need to buy a PA system to play shows, because in Alaska you need a PA. So we
Yeah.
bought like a really crappy
Yeah.
PA.
Yeah.
And then we came to town, and we had an address of like, go to this address, and a brother of a friend works there, and he'll give us a place to stay. And we broke down
Right in front of the place.
right in front of the place,
The van
and we
died,
rang, and this guy shows up in like leotards, like rock and roll pants. Like, yep. And we're like, what is it? And we hear like guitars, and that was the Palace. This place called the Palace. They used to. All
practice
the
spot.
bands would rent spots in it. And Chris Stuckey, he was the guy who managed the Palace.
Yeah.
But that was our roommate's brother. And we had just we were like, oh, Industrial Northwest. You know, now it's on like 10th and 12th and Gleason or whatever.
Yeah, it's the Pearl now.
Oh, the Pearl, that's
But
right.
wasn't
yeah.
the
It was
Pearl
just it was
So-
just old.
But
Yeah.
we had a room in there.
And how did you come across your drummer boy?
Well, I saw them when they were, I think, Mood Paint, and I was in a real punk band, and they were playing This Ain't No Picnic by the Minutemen, and I was like, yeah, you guys rock. And I think I just I think at one point I was gonna move to New York, and I told them, I think I told Charlie or Chris, hey, if you ever need a drummer, let me drum. I want to drum with you guys. But they had a drummer already, so it wasn't gonna happen. But then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
happened.
we
You guys
had,
got a new
yeah,
drummer, you
yeah.
got a new drummer.
And then David joined us. And what, your second show, we got signed
first
as-
show, like at Satyricon.
Oh, really? This was the first
Poneman,
show?
yeah,
Good
came
old
up and
Satyricon,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to ask you about the guitar gimmick that you have,
Oh,
you,
right,
Charlie.
yeah. Well, we both do it.
I mean, you
Yeah.
make your songs sound like you wanted them to, but you did something special.
Yeah,
with
we
the-
put, you generally pick with your right hand, and if you put a slide on, you put it on your left hand, you play it like this. But you can stick it on your right hand and rub it against the strings. And at the levels we played with amplification, a lot of distortion, you can, like a violin, resonate that string. So both on bass and guitar, there's a couple different ways you can do it, but you can play these legato sort of violin or like orchestral kind of
Yeah,
lines. So
we had a song called Laika, which is about the dog sent to space.
yeah, and so we would do it, and I think we have at least one song, Spokes, where we wear the slide on
Tonight,
this one,
yeah.
but it's not so much gimmick, but you can, yeah,
well,
it's
so-called gimmick.
yeah, we called it the gimmick.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You were, and then you were quickly signed by Seattle's indie record label, Sub Pop. I mean, they were famous for acts like Nirvana, Soundgarden, and so there's often an association with Pond that makes you puts you into the grunge scene, but that was really not your sound. What moved you at the time in the early '90s? That wasn't your wheelhouse.
It's funny because when grunge was really big, they were like, "Oh, here's all these great grunge bands," and then there's Pond, who's not really grunge. And then when grunge started to die out, everybody's like, "Oh, Pond, the last gasp of grunge."
Really?
You know,
I don't know,
a
yeah.
couple people, and I was like, "Oh, we never really fit in that." But we were just into pop music,
Yeah.
you know, rock, three-piece pop music.
Well, reflect on the early 90s music scene in Portland. I mean, clubs were so huge here. You could spend nights going from one scene to another, one club to another. It was very active.
Oh, the first night we landed, we went and saw, what was it? It was Nero's Rome
And
the Killing Field
Right.
at Key Largo.
Yeah.
And then we were like, just got off the boat, and they were both like these beautiful bands. We're like, oh my God, we made a mistake.
They were very polished.
They were very polished.
We weren't a kind of, we've never been. You'll see. If you go to,
And
we've
then,
never got a
and they were
polished band.
they were
We
great. And then we walked up to Satyricon. No, Blue Gallery might have
Blue
been.
Gary
there.
might have been.
Yeah, something like that. But it was completely grocery and
Oh, it's Satyricon.
Yeah.
and Ghost Dance.
Ghost Trance.
Maybe so.
Ghost
Ghost
Trance. And we're like, oh, here's the bands we should be playing with. So
Right,
it was
right.
like a different,
Right. But I respect the Nero's Roman Killing Field too.
Oh,
I
they're
liked them.
great.
Yeah,
They're great.
of
But they
course,
were just
yeah.
a different kind. I was like, Chris, I was like, they're going to hate us here.
And I'm like, oh God, I have $8 in my pocket.
Yeah.
Well, you've done a reunion as Pond a couple of times, haven't you? And of course,
Yes,
you
once a
reunion
decade.
Once
Once
a
a
decade
decade.
we do.
once
show.
a decade. And here, of course, at the induction ceremony tonight. But since disbanding in 1998,
Yeah.
you started individual projects. Are those still going on? Charlie, you're still doing things with your Gold Card project?
No, I'm not.
That's done.
I do music still, but I do it for ads now.
Oh, well,
The, like,
man's got to eat.
The definition of selling out. But yeah, I just had some songs that were kind of left over when we were still writing, and I liked the gimmick thing, and so I just collected it
Yeah.
into one thing.
And Chris,
put out that record.
you still have Audio Learning Center?
I did. We did 2 albums, Audio Learning Center. I did about 5 years of that, and I toured right up until my daughter was born. And I was touring quite a bit, and then about 2 weeks before she was born, it was like, it's like I'm not making any money really, just being out there. So I quit that. And now, just recently, I started a band which is a drummer called School Bully. Me and a guy named Eric Johnson, and he was in Gern Blanson, an amazing band. He's been in a lot of Portland bands, real heavy hitter. But we're probably the world's loudest 2-piece band.
And
But-
Dave, what about you? Are you musically, besides
I-
these once a decade reunions?
No, I started my own internet company, and then I kite surf. So I just went and did something completely. I play drums every 10 years. with these guys. That's when I play drums.
Did you say Kaiser?
No, kite surf.
Kite
Oh.
surf.
I kite surf
Oh.
and technical project manage.
Oh,
So
okay.
I became an adult.
It's a
after
day
Pond.
job.
Yes.
A real grown-up job.
I really have a real job.
Yeah. Well, reflect on the current music scene. My favorite thing is when people say they just don't make good music anymore, and I'm going, "What are you not listening to or
Yeah,
not hearing?"
right.
That's
I
unbelievable.
agree.
When people say that, I just go, "Get off of my lawn."
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. But do you get out to hear music much?
I take my kids to shows a lot, I think my son was just like, oh, I've been to 30 rock shows. And like, my wife's like, I don't think it's been 30. And he listed, we've been to probably 30 shows together.
Well, we just saw Morrissey in the National and
Oh, yeah.
Nick Cave just the other day.
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, so, and now you guys, so.
Cool.
Yeah. The state of the nation that Portland is it tough to get musical traction here, do you think, for the up-and-comers, the young
I
musical?
think there are
challenges.
a lot of competitions to people's time now that there weren't in the 90s. I think it's true. But I also think the bar, like, people can produce really great sounding records out of their homes. And so it's easier in some ways for them to put out a great product.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of people doing it. You can just hear, I'm with you, I'm like, oh my God, people I've never heard of. People who are not famous, who don't have traction, and they're amazing,
You just have to keep your ears open.
Yeah.
So what's next for Pond? These once-in-a-decade reunions?
Right.
Stay alive 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Is there any other kind of Hall of Fame that we could do?
Well, there's a guy.
Blake?
Yeah, there's a guy from Gravy Train Records is trying to release our last record on vinyl.
yeah.
It never came out on vinyl.
Yeah.
So he's been trying to get Sony on the phone, and they were like, "Yeah, it sounds good." Now they're not picking up the phone, but he's trying to release that, so that's
Yeah.
going to be a limited kind of vinyl
Yeah.
thing. I'm not sure if we're going to do anything around
And
that.
who released? Oh, Voodoo Donuts
Oh,
was
yeah.
a label that
Yeah,
just released
yeah.
one of our sets.
Oh,
at
nice.
the X-ray,
Live X-ray.
live at the
X-ray
X-ray.
stuff.
Right, nice.
So-
Well, it's great to get to know you
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks for
Yeah.
having us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pond,
really fun.
congratulations
Yeah, thanks so
on the
much.
induction.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel about the induction, by the way? Did it come as a surprise?
It was surprising.
Completely.
I was like, who is it? Is Alan Fun? You know,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but, no, it was nice. Terry was super sweet on the phone. Alex Steininger, asked us. I'm like, wow, that's really nice, and I would never have expected that. So,
Right.
it was
Yeah,
nice.
I got an email saying, call me. And I was like, well, who is this? And it's like, it's Terry from Music. Call me. I was like, what do you want? I don't want to call. Did
I steal something from
I thought
your
he was trying to
store?
market something to,
I want to move some money into your bank
I want to talk to
account.
the person. I was like, finally, okay.
No.
Whatever.
Well,
No, but-
enjoy the sunshine that's shining on Pond.
Oh, thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's been
that.
fun to get back together with these guys and play. some
Yeah,
music,
I
so-
really, it's
So
been
that's been
super
fun.
fun. The
Yeah, it's
camaraderie.
like, oh yeah.